What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Last Word Music Podcast. I'm your host tonight, Scott Converts, accompanied by Dimitri Taranjo and Charlie Owens. It's been a minute since we recorded some videos, but we're glad to be back here making new videos amidst this whole coronavirus mess. So as you guys can see, we're using Zoom, doing group videos from home now. So you can see those glorious kicks behind Dimitri.
Yes, sir.
But tonight we're coming at you guys with a very special video, not just an album review. We're going to be discussing our top 10 rap albums, pretty much ever. But we do have a little bit of a
we got some criteria.
Have some criteria. So we said only rappers who are active, which we defined as like you've dropped an album in the last 5 years and you're still alive. And then, we took those rappers and we said, out of all those guys, we're listing our top 10 rap albums. So, for example,
however,
you can take it.
Only get one. You get one album per rapper.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like we were joking earlier, if that weren't a rule, I would just have like 4 or 5 Eminem albums on my list. It wouldn't be fun for anybody to listen to. So, I only have one Eminem album.
All right, cool. Yep. And you can still do an album that came out before 5 years ago, obviously, as long as it's by a guy who's still making music today.
Still relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, so you guys want to count down from 10 to 1?
I say we just do like each of our 10 and then each of our 9 and then I
Cool.
think that works. So
Okay.
who wants to start?
I'll start, man.
Chuck, you said your 10 was going to surprise us.
Yeah, Chuck's had a lot to say about his 10.
My number 10 is not gonna make them happy at all.
Watch it be kamikaze.
No, it's not kamikaze. They're gonna clown on me, bro.
Okay.
Revive
it, bro.
It's not Eminem.
Really?
It's a different Detroit products, man.
Big Sean?
No, man.
Oh.
My number 10 is The Search.
The Search. Okay.
By NF?
By NF.
I haven't really listened to the full album, in all honesty.
I cannot
but,
say I have.
I've heard it's good.
Y'all don't vibe with it. I know.
No, I've only listened to a couple tracks, and I'll keep it a buck. It's only when you play the tracks in your car.
Yeah.
But
how come you're giving this top 10 rap album?
Yeah, give some evidence here.
I think NF is he's honestly something I've never seen before in terms of his ability to storytell. Something I haven't seen since Eminem. NF does it literally without cursing at all. He refuses to curse in his music because he's signed to this Christian label. He isn't very high standing with religion. It's something he prides himself on. However, just because he doesn't curse doesn't mean his stuff isn't intense. You listen to tracks like Trauma, man. You listen to tracks like How Could You Leave Us, even though that's not on The Search. I'm just describing NF's type of music. You can just hear the pain in his voice, man, and how much he actually cares about not just the music he's writing, but the stuff that's influencing the music he's writing. And that really hits with me. And I think The Search is the perfect culmination of that, because not only does he have the hard ass beats and he's got the nice drops and he's got the nice flexes in there. Well, he'll just rap really fast, but at the same time, there's content in there. He's telling you what's going on in his life, man.
Yeah.
And he's got this whole thing with his alter ego where he's just he talks to himself all the time in his music. He the first line in his album is, "Hey Nate, how's life?" I don't know, it's all right. And then he just keeps going on talking to himself throughout the entire song. And it's it's chilling for you to listen to, but at the same time it kind of gets you inside your own head, and it's oh, well, he may be this goated, well, not goated, but amazing rapper. Everybody kind of knows him. He outdid Chance the Rapper day one, his album versus The Big Day, and took the #1 chart from Chance the Rapper. He may be very successful, but at the same time he's dealing with stuff as well, and he is very good at expressing it through his music. And I think The Search was just the perfect culmination of that, and I really just appreciated that, and that's why it's my number 10.
Okay,
cool. Yeah.
Well defended. Okay. Scotty,
you want to go next?
Okay, I'll go. I think my number 10 is gonna go to Carter 5.
Okay.
Okay.
It was between Carter 5 or Carter 3. I think they're both good. Well, not good. They're great for it to have to be in the top 10. I'd say probably some of my favorite tracks up there it's probably gonna be Let It Fly and Mona Lisa, just because Mona Lisa has
Mona Lisa's good.
one of the godliest Kendrick verses I've ever heard.
One
And
of Lil Wayne's best verses, honestly.
well, Lil Wayne's verse is crazy.
Yeah.
And I think the whole album is just vintage Wayne. For a lot of it having been recorded a little while ago, it still when it came out, it sounded very current. The production was solid. Lil Wayne's always fun to listen to. He has a lot of fun, like double entendres, a lot of fun lines that are just kind of quick and like humorous and stuff like that. Yeah. And so I think it's just a really solid album overall, really good. A lot of replay value. So
agreed. That's a big thing with some of the albums I put on here was their replay value.
Yeah. Okay, Scotty, let's hear it, bro.
Okay, so you guys may not be super familiar with this album, but it's one of my favorites. I really like it. It's called Hell Hath No Fury by Clips. So Clips, do you guys know who Clips is?
I don't actually.
Yeah, so they're a duo. It's Pusha T and his brother, No Malice.
Okay.
And this album came out in 2006. And it's a lot of the production comes from Pharrell Williams and the Neptunes.
Oh.
It's got some really nice beats in the background. I love the production. And they had kind of been dealing with a lot of like trouble with their record label. So they were pretty angry. And honestly, they're just phenomenal storytellers and really good rappers. Their wordplay is top notch. And they talked a lot about dealing with selling drugs, which, I know you said in the past, Deem, you've kind of been like joking, like, hey, Pusha T, talking about something else, man.
Yeah.
But this was, when he was a younger rapper. So this was, Pusha T at his finest for me.
Yeah.
And, really giving an in-depth perspective of what it was like to sell drugs on the streets.
Nice. Okay.
Number 9, boys. This is where I had Astroworld.
Okay.
Yeah. As you guys know, I wasn't really high on Astroworld at first. It took me a while.
I could say more about that, but
yeah. Dean, why don't you tell the story?
Okay. Well, the homie Chuck is in my marketing class, and was in my marketing class last year, and when Astroworld dropped, was roughly around the same time that
Astroworld drops like in July.
Yeah.
But we were talking about it because Kamikaze had just dropped.
And the homie Chuck proceeded to say with 100% confidence that Kamikaze was miles ahead of Astroworld and was way better than this album, and now has jumped onto the bandwagon.
It's amazing what some re-listens can do for you, man. Because honestly, this was the first.
Very true. I can't blame you.
This was the first Travis project I actually sat down and listened to, because I had never really listened to Rodeo. I had listened to snippets of Birds in the Trap, but this was the first Travis project I actually sat down and listened to.
Okay.
And honestly, dude, Travis was an acquired taste for me at first. I didn't really like the overly produced stuff. I didn't really like the huge amounts of auto-tune, but it ended up growing on me. And the more I listened to it, the more I kind of decided, you know what? This is something I really enjoy listening to.
Yeah.
It was actually the song that I turned off. I remember this. I got a few tracks in and just stopped listening to it just because I hated it. And the song I turned off when I was just done was actually Sicko Mode. Before it blew up.
Yeah, it was overplayed, dog. Like it was.
Yeah. When I first time I listened to that, I was like, no, this is gas. And then I heard it for like an entire.
You heard it for an entire
rest of the summer, and I was like, I'm gone on this track, bro.
But tracks like for me, like No Bystanders and Wake Up, Coffee Bean goes crazy, Stargazing goes crazy. Just like it really makes me like appreciate Travis's music more now that I can like understand the lore of it after listening to it just more than once. And I've listened to Rodeo, I've listened to Birds in the Trap, but This was just a little bit nostalgia had to play in that just because this was the first Travis project I actually listened to. So maybe like a little nostalgia clouded my judgment on my Travis project, but like I don't care. This was just, I think it was a great culmination of what Travis had to offer as a.
It's a pretty amazing album, yeah.
You know, one of my favorite parts of that album, Chuck. One of my favorite parts of that album, Chuck, is just how Travis, like, I don't know, he kind of serves as like this host for all these different voices that he mixes together so well. Everyone from like, you know, Frank Ocean to Drake to, it's just, he brings in so many different voices on so many songs and it works so well.
Yeah. Travis is almost like he's almost just kind of like a overbearing presence throughout his album, just in the way that he's like basically like engrossed into the instrumental with his autotune and all that, and it's just really layered, and then it almost like allows for the artist to not take over in like a bad way, but like it allows them to kind of like
to showcase,
bring a dichotomy with what Travis is doing on the track, and it always ends up heat. So
I agree.
You know, yeah. Okay, my number 9. It was tough between this and another album, but I went with Flower Boy.
Flower Boy by Tyler. Wow, I love that album.
You didn't put
I didn't put it in my top 10, but
I'm gonna go with Flower Boy and number 9, just because
Flower Boy didn't make my top 10. If it were top 15, probably. But.
Yeah, I had listened to some of his previous stuff, and I was never really high on it. You know, it was a little too edgy for me, a little too abrupt, a little too like grungy. Cherry Bomb has some good songs on it, but
Flower Boy mellowed out a lot.
Yeah, Flower Boy was a lot more mellowed out, which is more my style in general. It has a lot of good tracks. November, Glitter, Dropping Seeds, the Lil Wayne verse on there is crazy. And of course, you know, See You Again is great. It's a little overplayed, but that's still a good track. Boredom is good. Who Dat Boy Grew on Me. I didn't like it at first, but I like it a lot now. Yeah. I don't think it has any weak spots in the album. I think it's just just a great album overall. 911 Mr. Lonely also. That track is amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I gotta go with the number 9. Favorites. Okay, Scotty, what you got?
Number 9.
So I feel kind of out of place here because have y'all heard of the album Mad Villainy?
What?
No.
Yeah, it's called Mad Villainy. So it's from I think 2004, right? So it's from these two guys, Madlib and MF Doom.
Yeah.
Madlib, the producer.
Yeah, and MF Doom.
So honestly, I just love this album because it's so unique. I really hadn't heard anything like it before. The production on this is top notch. Like, it was honestly probably one of the best produced albums I've ever heard. It's so like obscure, and he just uses so many different I don't know, like echoey guitar and like just it's like gritty, you know. And then MF Doom is such a technically proficient rapper, and wordplay and flow is just phenomenal on this album. Songs like All Caps are phenomenal. And you know, MF Doom, his brother, who was kind of like supporting his rap career, had died just a few years prior, and that was kind of like what propelled him forward in his career. And so I don't know, his music just has like this hidden emotional depth to it that's like, you know, even when he's not necessarily like speaking of, I don't know, he just has like, you can hear it in his voice, like this kind of like pained sense. And to me, the album was just phenomenal. A ton of the tracks are even just instrumentals or like skits, but I don't know, it's just kind of chaotic. It's almost like abstract art, and you know, some of it doesn't make sense, but I just really loved it.
Well, now I kind of want to check it out. I'll have to at some point, Scotty. You made a compelling argument for it.
Yeah. I mean, Scotty's got good taste, man.
That's true.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, so
Chucky Boy, number
8. This may be a little controversial for y'all.
Mine might be too. I don't know.
It's a Drake album. It is 2011's Take Care.
Holy shit, that's mine.
Hey, both y'all had that at number 8?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Dean, you want to go first?
No, you can go.
Okay. So basically for me, this wasn't my first taste of Drake. My first taste was like Thank Me Later. Okay. However, Take Care, I think it's just the perfect blend because it's got your classic Drake elements of like his little love songs, like he's got that, like song with Rihanna, like Take Care.
Yeah.
He's obviously got Marvin's Room on there.
Yeah.
For your heart.
That track is goated.
Yeah, man. But then he's got songs like The Motto with Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Well, you just like, it's such a good song just to like listen to. Like I could just picture myself like Friday nights just bumping that with you guys.
Yeah.
He's also he's got like Hell Yeah Fucking Right on that, right?
Yeah.
With Lil Wayne was on that one too, right?
Yeah.
And then he's got obviously Headlines as well. He's got a lot of slaps on there, but I think this was just, out of all the Drake albums I've listened to, this was Scorpion done right. Because like the perfect blend of like Drake's rapping alter ego versus his melodic R&B alter ego. That's all really I have to say about it, because Drake's never been one for lyricism. He's never really been one for like switching up flows and going crazy like that, but he knows how to make like well produced, and
he can pull it out of the bag every now and then, but it's it's not as frequent as other artists. Yeah, I went with Take Care number 8 too. I think that this is probably I'm gonna say it's probably his best commercial release. Maybe outside of I'm not sure about the mixtape in 2015. What is it called again? It's If You're Reading This Is Too Late.
If You're Reading This Is Too Late.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot.
That one's really good, but it's not an album, so I didn't put it on here. And I went with Take Care because just my general taste is more appeals to like mellow rap in general, and bordering R&B too. I listen to a lot of R&B, and so that kind of Drake really hits. Doing It Wrong, Headlines is a banger. Marvin's Room, basically all the tracks you mentioned, they're all great, and I think the album is a little long, but I think that there's more than enough there where it's like there's so many iconic tracks on this thing that like I can't not put it in my top 10. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Scotty.
All right, boys. My number 8 album, Doggy Style by Snoop Dogg.
By Snoop Dogg. No way.
Have y'all listened to this album before?
I have not.
I don't really listen
it's
to
great, man. You should check it. It's Snoop Dogg's debut studio album.
Really?
My favorite of his.
He would call it Doggy Style, bro.
It's just classic West Coast G-Funk hip-hop, man. At its best. Snoop rapping over Dr. Dre's beats. Yeah. It's just, classic. And Snoop Dogg's in his prime. He's intelligent. He's funny. The album cover is great. The iconic one. My boy Snoop. Yeah, I mean, songs like Murder Was the Case are really just phenomenal. A stroke of genius. And, I mean, if you guys don't listen to as much, like 90s hip-hop, but I don't know, it kind of like took the Chronic and almost like expanded on that a little bit. And so really? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of Dr. Dre's best collaborations. So.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Chuck,
let's see.
That's number 7.
Oh yeah,
we're on 7 now.
My bad. 7. Yeah.
I have Stankonia by Outkast.
Okay.
Scotty, I know you probably have that up somewhere on your list too.
I actually don't. Yeah, because we can only put. But I love it. I love it. I thought a different Outkast album was better.
Cups of the Rose.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say on it. It's just, if y'all know Outkast, it's Outkast at its best. Like, Andre 3000's fantastic, and bro, you know what I just learned? I just learned he was in semi-pro. How did I not know that before?
I would not know. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. I have never listened to an Outkast project, so
you should definitely check out. Well, have you heard Miss Jackson?
Yeah.
That's the song the album's
on. I'm very light with my
but like
I am for real.
Stankonia is a great album. It's like 20 songs long or something, but I'd check it out.
Okay.
I agree.
So I'm up next?
Yeah, sure.
I have it took me a while to come around on this album, which might be surprising to both of you. and to like 95% of the hip hop community. But I went with Good Kid, Mad-City.
Oh, I like it.
That's a little higher on mine.
Because when I started out, I wasn't as hot on Kendrick's delivery, or not on his delivery, but just his voice in general.
His voice, yeah, that's what took me.
But I finally was like, hey, Dimitri, stop being a baby. It's like going to the album and listen to it, and it's like it's crazy. It's an incredible album. The Art of Peer Pressure, swimming pools, all of that, man. It's like nonstop tracks. They all have a lot of meaning behind them, and they're all really heartfelt. Money Trees, I don't have to say anything else about Good Kid, Mad-City. It's good.
The way that, like, I don't know. I feel like some rappers, they need features, like they need a bunch of people to keep their voice interesting. Kendrick, it just doesn't feel that way because he doesn't. His message can be so different in so many songs, and he can interpolate his voice so well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the production is always great.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So am I?
Let's hear it.
Okay. So number 7.
Another one.
I said The Low End Theory by a Tribe Called Quest.
Okay.
Now I know that they've sort of shut down,
fallen off a little.
Unfortunately, they dropped an album. I think
that's where Busta Rhymes is from, right?
That's the what?
That's where Busta Rhymes is from.
He is from Tribe Called Quest. I didn't think so.
I don't think so. No.
I felt like that's where he was from. That's my bad.
Yeah, but the main guy for Tribe Called Quest, Q-Tip, I first heard him on Illmatic, producing for Nas, and he's phenomenal. He's really phenomenal. And this album was kind of like, I don't know, it kind of combined a lot of what like Public Enemy had been doing with their like, African American empowerment kind of message. And it's almost like one of the first examples of kind of like jazzy hip hop type of stuff, kind of like, I don't know, sampling kind of Kanye would do stuff. Yeah. It was good. It's a very like laid back album, and their flows are strong. All these guys are vets, and yeah, I thought it was great. It was very like streetwise but intelligent.
Mm-hmm. I feel you.
Okay.
Chuck, let's hear it. Number
6. This is where I had the Carter 5.
All right.
I mean, we already talked about the Carter 5. Obviously, Mona Lisa's goated. There are a few songs that Deem didn't mention that I want to touch on. First off, the song with X.
It's pretty good.
What was it called? Don't Cry.
Don't Cry.
I felt like that really showcased Lil Wayne's like emotional
ability,
emotional side,
emotional range,
very, very well. Because I didn't think Lil Wayne could like get like that.
Yeah. He got in his Drake
song
bag.
Can't Be Broken as well, just like very melodic and very just like produced in a way to like kind of like mellow you out while he just like he almost tells you a story. But then you didn't mention like the track, bro.
Mona Lisa wasn't the track.
It's
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2. Bro.
I let one go.
Uproar goes so hard.
Yeah, encore.
And it's just one note the entire song, bro. It's just in a different rhythm.
Yeah.
There's not many artists out there who can make an absolute slap with one note.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Just the culmination of the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay, number 6. It was between this and I believe his first album, but I'm gonna go with All American Badass.
Joey Badass.
Badass. Yeah, this album is goated. This album is insane. Looking at my ranking, I'm not sure if it's above Good Kid, but this is just whatever. I don't care. This album is so good. You got For My People on there. You got Schoolboy Q's verse is crazy on this.
Schoolboy Q's a great feature.
Yeah, I could go through like the track list right now and like name all of them, but like I don't want to have to do that right now. But All American Badass, great album. Joey Badass can flow. He has an amazing voice for rap, which doesn't come around. Well, you're blessed if your voice is just naturally suited for that stuff. He's got the accent is crazy. They're just like the New York vibe.
Mhm.
A lot of good messages. Yeah. So it's my number 6.
All right, Scotty.
Okay, boys. So I'm gonna hit you with.
What you got for us?
I actually want to preface this. I want to say when I was like 6 years old, I thought Ice Cube was just an actor in kids movies. I didn't really know what was going on, behind the scenes. But when I found his music, it's phenomenal. And my favorite album of his is Death Certificate from '92, sandwiched between The Predator, and America's Most Wanted. But the truth is, with Death Certificate, Ice Cube just goes hard from start to finish, man. He's just it's so visceral, like you can just feel his anger, like raging at like racial profiling and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. Every single song just slaps, and he's just vicious, attacking people. It sounds kind of like the way that hip hop was meant to be, almost. Like he's just his delivery is phenomenal, and no Vaseline, which we all know, right?
Yeah,
classic. So, yeah.
Okay. Where we at? We're at 5.
5.
Okay, this is where I had Good Kid, Mad City, just for like all the same reasons you had, Deem. Honestly.
Okay.
Just like it was phenomenal, and it was just after going back, I was just like you. I never really listened to Kendrick that much either. Going back and looking at it, that's his best.
Yeah.
Just honestly, pretty much everything.
And the verse from Drake on this album is crazy.
On Poetic Justice.
Yeah, Poetic Justice. Drake's feature is crazy on that. But okay, so should I just head to my number 5 then, Chuck?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, number 5. I don't think either of you are gonna agree with this, but I have Taboo by Denzel Curry.
I love that album, bro.
Oh, really? You love that album?
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay.
I wouldn't say top 5 of all time, but
I heard a lot of
for my personal enjoyment. I gotta go with. I gotta put it up there. I have re-listened to this album so many times. Switch Up, Cash Maniac, Black Balloons.
Black Balloons is my favorite.
Black Metal Terrorist is really good. It goes hard, but
you can't forget about Clock Cobain, bro.
Yeah, Clock Cobain. Yeah. Just the title track, Taboo. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
It's a vibe, bro. The whole album, it's got it's got a good story that it goes through. Even though it's a little hard to follow on like first listen, but you get around to it. Super Sane is crazy. The whole album, I think it doesn't really have a skip for me, and I've re-listened to it. I don't even know how many times, but yeah.
That's a good pick. And honestly, I listened to it, and I wasn't the biggest fan. I saw the appeal, but I wasn't the biggest fan. And I went to a Billie Eilish concert, dog.
Really?
Yeah.
and the video.
And the video, and he opened for her. And,
for real?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Denzel went on tour with Billie. And he
It honestly hurts my soul that Denzel has to open for Billie Eilish, but
that was actually the day Zoo dropped too. So
that album is really good too, but it's not.
He did some songs from Zoo, but then he did a lot of songs from Taboo, bro. And it's just like it honestly made me get back into that album and just his music in general. Listening to him live. Yeah. He's a very good performer, and he's a very talented rapper.
Yeah, I agree.
Scotty, you're number 5.
Number 5, Chuck, Aquemini by Outkast. I put it over Stankonia. I love Stankonia, but Aquemini for me, I don't know, man. It's got like this funk to it, bro. And the feature from Raekwon on Skewed on
Charlie's like hurt inside.
I'm not like that hurt, man, but like.
Well, plus Andre's verse on the title track is like one of the greatest verses ever, dog.
I understand from Scotty's perspective, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Chalky Fire, the last track, Chalky Fire goes hard, man. But
I have no form of reference.
You gotta give it a listen, dude. I mean, I think Big Boy's kind of slept on too, because I don't know, he's such a good contrast to Andre 3000. Like their back and forth play, question and answer is just phenomenal. And I don't know, I feel like AT Aliens was really good, but this was kind of like where they came into their own and like found themselves more of. And because they really like embodied kind of like this southern funk rap style that was just really appealing to me.
Okay. Number 4. Okay. This is where 2014 Forest Hills Drive.
Yo, no way.
By J. Cole?
No way.
Did you have that too, Dean?
Yeah, bro. No
Damn.
way.
Let's go, dude.
This album is goated, but
it's J. Cole's best work by far.
I don't know, man. Folding laundry.
I hate that song.
Or is it folding clothes or something?
Folding clothes, yeah.
Folding clothes.
But dude, that I don't want to For Your Eyes Only is a great album, but I don't want to get into that right now. We'll talk about it.
You know what, Dima? I took Take Care. You take for 2014 Forest Hills Drive.
Okay. This album is crazy. I can't think of a single bad song. Fire Squad, Tale of Two Cities, January 28th, Saint-Tropez, Wet Dreams. Dude, that song is iconic. Dude, I don't know how many times I've listened to that song. 03 Adolescence is probably the best song on the album, in my opinion.
It's just so relatable, bro.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. And I think just J. Cole's delivery and his ability to like display a lot of raw emotion in his stuff too. And not just this album, but if I don't want to like use songs from other albums for evidence, but the whole all of 2014 Forest Hills Drive is crazy. GOMD. He has a knack for like creating hooks that are like simple and because he's not the greatest singer, but he can always find a way to make it simple enough and easy enough to sing along to that it's just easy to relate to. The whole album is great, I think. So
what's funny, man, is Nia Long, she said like in an interview, she was like, J. Cole's not too young.
Yo,
J. Cole was like, what? She's like Kendrick, Drake, J. Cole, easy J. Cole. He's the best by far.
Really?
Yeah, bro.
Oh, okay. Whoa. Okay, so who's up?
Scotty,
Scott?
number 4.
Scotty.
Okay, so number 4. Y'all probably put this a little bit higher, Demon. But here's the deal with this one. I'm putting My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy in number 4. Okay.
I see the argument for that.
I love this album. It's phenomenal, but I just had to put 3 above it. Although a lot of people would put this in number 1. For me, there isn't a bad song in this album, and again, it's just such a like glorious, like high aiming album for me. It's very ambitious.
Probably Kanye's peak.
Yeah. He packs so much into it. His sampling is phenomenal. He brings on so many different features. Like Nicki Minaj has a great verse on this.
Monster.
Dude, verse on Monster is actually tolerable.
Rick Ross's verse on Devil in a New Dress might be one of my favorite verses ever. It's just phenomenal. Pusha T on Runaway, which is just a beautiful track. Devil in a New Dress might be my favorite Kanye song ever, to be honest with you.
Really?
Wow.
Like the guitar sampling is incredible. All of the lights, as you guys know, just slap. Hour is one of his biggest songs. Gorgeous with Kid Cudi and Raekwon. I like that a ton too. And Dark Fantasy, the title track, I mean, that just goes hard.
Yeah.
And for me, the album gets a little bit weaker at the end, but still, the songs are really good. So overall, I think it's probably his most ambitious and like all-encompassing, like everywhere from, variants and sampling to bringing on all these different artists. Even though personally, my favorite Kanye album is probably Late Registration, I had to put this one on as top 10 albums of all time.
Okay. We at number 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, boys. It is.
I know it's Eminem.
It's not Eminem.
It's not Eminem.
Oh wait, yeah, I gotta assume that number 1 is gonna be Eminem.
It's 2001 by Dr. Dre.
By Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
Scott's like beaming. He's like, let's go.
He's like, oh, Charlie knows like decently old rap. Honestly, dude, 2001. It's just, again, I had never really listened to much of Dr. Dre like before. All I knew was that he was this ridiculous producer and this big hip hop influencer that discovered Eminem. And then I listened to 2001 and I figured out that he wasn't just this like hip hop icon just for him like being in the industry, but he is a rapper.
Yeah.
And a good one at that. And I think his connections, like his features with Snoop Dogg, just make the album that much better, man.
Snoop.
It's a very West Coast feel. There's very like heavy what's the word I'm looking for? What am I looking for? Themes, like very big themes of just like relaxing, smoking a J, hanging with your boys, but also like the very intense Dr. Dre that we sometimes get. But then he's got that song with Eminem, man. Forgot About Dre. That might be one of my favorite songs ever, if I'm being honest. Because it's like, it's old school Eminem.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of like accepts as being like amazing hip hop. You got Dr. Dre in his prime as well. I think that's just a fantastic song off a very, very well put together and well done album.
Okay. For my number 3, I actually did go with Late Registration over My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Just based off personal enjoyment, my favorite Kanye is R&B soul sampling, blues sampling Kanye, borderline college dropout. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is a GOAT album. I love that album, but I couldn't add it in as well. And I've listened to Late Registration a lot more. Diamonds from Sierra Leone, one of the greatest tracks I've ever heard. That song is incredible. Heard 'Em Say is a great song. It's just a vibe. It's nice and chill. Drive Slow. My Way Home with Common. That does have Common on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't Gold Digger on
Crack
that
Music.
album?
Yeah, Gold Digger's on.
Yeah, Gold Digger's on Late Registration.
Which is obviously good.
Which is one of the that song is goated too. Yeah. That's Kanye. I think that's Kanye. I don't know if I can say at his peak because Kanye has a lot of albums that you could.
He kind of
decide between.
It went. He kind of like plateaued. Like we can say that.
He plateaued
at Late Registration and just like Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Just like consistent greatness.
I wouldn't say he plateaued because 808 and Heartbreaks was good, but I wouldn't say it was as good.
I think he was more experimental. He was like getting out of his bag, He was trying something new. Yeah, definitely not like his strongest album.
I mean,
but it's still innovative. It's extremely innovative. Yeah, it's like kamikaze levels of innovative, right, Chuck?
Well, I don't know if we can say it changed the rap game the way that kamikaze.
We recorded it, man, about me debating is Kamikaze a good album or not, and the recording got lost, and I'm really mad it got lost.
Yeah, that was a really good video.
It was a really fun video to make. And
you guys are gonna hate my number 2, man.
Scotty, what's your number?
Okay, so am I up next for 3?
Number 3.
So number 3, this is honestly probably my favorite album of all time, but the 2 I put ahead of it are more, influential.
Okay.
At least so far. For number 3, I put To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, yeah.
I know you guys.
I was waiting to see when Kendrick would pop up on the list, bro.
Yeah. Here's the thing. For me, this album is honestly probably the best ever. It is just so layered. Like every single time, I probably listened to this album 100 times, and every time I go back, I catch something new. He's so human and mortal on the album. The way that he raps and sings and varies his voice from song to song.
Yeah.
The rhyme schemes, the metaphors, everything. He wrote a poem for this album about street life, and Pimping a Butterfly. People laugh at the title, but the whole thing is about, how America can manipulate African Americans and keep them down. But there's just so many more layers to the whole thing. And he talks about, his battles with the devil, with his religion, with staying strong, with, maintaining his sense of pride and being good to the people that raised him and caring for his parents at home. And there's just so much depth to this album. And he has features from Snoop Dogg, from Thundercat, who's a phenomenal bassist. I mean, this album for me just has everything. The jazz on this, it's so unique for a modern hip hop artist to go with so much of a jazz influence and barely even use anything close to trap and what was kind of building at that time.
Yeah.
And songs like All Right, that's a classic street anthem. Everybody loves All Right. Mortal Man at the end, when he reveals that the album the whole time he's been talking to Tupac, and he's that's a 10-minute track where he just goes on, kind of stream of thought. for free is phenomenal. He just displays his incredible freestyle skills as a rapper. Institutionalized is one of my favorite songs of this. You is so emotional
You is
and
amazing,
intense, and even songs like Mama are great. So
Yeah.
that's why I put To Pimp a Butterfly at number 3.
Okay, so before I list my number 2, I have an announcement to make. My mother
Yes.
just texted me, and it seems that she received an email with a 35-minute video.
We have the Eminem video too.
We have the Eminem
Let's
video.
go.
Oh my God,
Let's
boys,
go,
yes.
baby.
We got 2
Okay.
vids for tonight now.
Okay.
So number 2 is where I had my beautiful dark twisted fantasy.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you guys have talked about it, or Scott has talked about it, but Dean mentioned it. For me, the only thing that put this over like 2001 and 2014 Forest Hills Drive, Good Kid, Mad City is nostalgia for me. Because I was into Kanye before I was into everything else, before I could really appreciate anything else. But my beautiful dark twisted fantasy, I remember the first time I heard All of the Lights, man. I remember the first time I heard Power and Monster and Runaway and all of these just classic Kanye tracks. And I just remember it just being like a very simpler time of life, and Kanye just kind of like taking me on this journey with him.
Yeah.
And this was also the first Kanye album I actually listened to. And it was a very like experimental album in retrospect, looking at his earlier stuff and how he kind of transitioned into this like less jazz type production model.
I'd say more soul, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. I noticed there's a lot more bass in this too. There's a lot more experimental with 808s until he got to 808 and Heartbreaks, and he was like, "Whoa, calm down, big man."
Yeah.
But honestly, dude, like nostalgia just wins this for me. This is just it definitely just makes me think of a simpler time in my life. And honestly, most of the music that we listen to and most of hip hop that we listen to, that should be a big part of it, is just like listening to a good song, listening to one of your favorite songs, and letting that nostalgia kick in.
Yeah. Okay. My number 2 is definitely a left field. I want to preface, I have, ever since it came out 5 years ago, I have listened to this album, I want to say probably as many times as Scott has with To Pimp a Butterfly, just because of my taste in music being, I'm just into mellow, and I'm into, I'm into like just vibes, take care type shit, and I think this album, I don't know, you guys might laugh, but whatever, it's definitely, I don't want to say iconic, but it's definitely a huge influence on what's going on now. Not with like the Little Pump type shit, but like
Rodeo.
With more like emotion, a lot more emotional, a lot more like a lot more rappers being a lot more open about their feelings and stuff. It's on that 808s and Heartbreak and Take Care kind of vibe. I went with Trap Soul by Bryson Tiller. This album, I know, but this album, I have listened. I don't even what Chuck?
Nothing, bro. I just really caught me off guard with Bryson Tiller, but keep
No,
going.
I know. This album, I've listened to it a lot. And I'm basing my list a lot more off of not as much off like grandeur or like all time like innovation or anything. Because if I did, then it would be like pretty much what you guys have said with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, stuff like that. But I went with what I've listened to the most and what brings me the most nostalgia. And I think that I don't think I can skip any tracks on this. Bryson Tiller's actually a really proficient rapper. He's not like a Dr. Dre or anything or like a Eminem, but he knows he can tell a story, and he can get you in your feelings, and he can deliver a really good hook. So that's what I went with for number 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Scotty,
I mean, I can respect that because you went on a limb, and obviously that's not like one of the most like sensical choices when you're making like an unbiased opinion, but you went for it. And
if I did, then it would be like To Pimp a Butterfly at number 2.
And
but,
like, I'm sure me and Scott can appreciate that because we have our lists, but I'm sure we definitely have like, I mean, dude, I put NF at number 10. NF has like 2-3 albums, and he's not like a big name in hip hop. Like, we all have our little personal touches to our lists, but like that's what's great about doing this is that we get to like express and show how we feel about hip hop. And honestly, guys, this is for everybody watching. Go comment your top 10 list down in the comments right now because like we love to see and experience like other tastes and other like Scotty, help me out.
Other
points.
Other points, just like other preferences. That's what I was looking for. Other preferences of just like music, because music is like probably the most subjective art, in my opinion, probably out there.
You could say that.
Yeah, well spoken, Chuck. Totally with you.
Okay, Scotty.
And like you said, Deem, we kind of all interpreted it our own way, and that's totally cool. Like you kind of talked about, your favorite albums and like what's, just makes you feel the best, and that's kind of like that's a great part of music. Like you were saying, Chuck, is it's so subjective. There is no, objectively good or bad song. But and number 2, I put, and I did it a little bit differently. I kind of did like most influential almost. So number 2, I put Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. I love this album because it's it's gritty, it's intense, and I had really never heard anything before quite like it because it just has so many conflicting and loud voices, between Method Man and Ghostface Killah. The production by RZA is phenomenal, and I mean, it's just like it was all made kind of underground, and so it has like these echoey, kind of like aggressive street vibes to it, and the aggressive like attack mode vocals from all these guys just complement it so well. Right. And it's fascinating because it's just like it's like all these guys, kind of like a family, just like rapping about like their daily life and just like everything from like crime to drugs to reading comic books, and you know what I mean? It's funny. It's great, and it's vicious in certain songs. Obviously, Cream, Cash Rules Everything Around Me. That's one of the best songs ever.
That's iconic, bro.
Yeah. So I thought this album too was just such a huge influence on so much of the rap that came after it, especially New York rap. And a ton of these guys like went on to become phenomenal rappers of their own, like Raekwon, Ghostface Killah, Method Man, all these guys. Jizza has a couple
good albums. Got his own TV show, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, he does.
Method Man's got his own TV show.
Yeah, he does. On TV show.
Yeah.
Or he watches like worn out celebrities rap battle each other.
Method Man is a Jets fan, so my brother likes him.
Okay, Chuck. All right. Let's see the
number 1, boys.
Number 1.
Which Eminem album you guys think it is?
I think it's gonna.
I gotta say,
I'm gonna say Slim Shady.
I'm thinking you're gonna say the Eminem Show, Chuck.
Okay, Deem.
My personal, if I were to put an Eminem here, would be Slim Shady LP, but I also think you're gonna go with Eminem Show.
It is indeed the Eminem Show.
Yeah. How do we guess that?
Because it's Eminem in his prime, bro. It's like established Eminem. It's like people know what he's got to say. People know his genre of music, and he takes it to another level somehow. He somehow takes it to another level. I mean, obviously you got the hits in there, man. You got songs like Without Me. You got songs like Till I Collapse. You've got like the big, like bumping beats for honestly East Coast or West Coast. Like they kind of blend together.
Yeah.
But then you got like the more Eminem like soulful tracks where he's just like, where he can just like almost have a conversation with you while he's storytelling. And I mean, you take a look at all of his projects before that too, and you compare it, and it's very definite timeline of like his storytelling ability. Almost it's almost like he's got this third sense for like double entendres, and for nice flows and for nice wordplay.
His double entendre game is crazy.
It's crazy, bro. But just overall, man, I can't say there's an album that I've listened to that's honestly filled me with like more joy than the Eminem show. If I'm being like completely honest, bro, like there's honestly not much more to say, man, because that's like there's nothing too like out of this world about it. It's kind of like your standard Eminem thing, but for some reason, man, it's this album. I think honestly, dude, I think it's Without Me. I honestly think that's what gets me on this album, because every Eminem album has like its signified banger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
you wouldn't say Till I Collapse is the one off that?
no, I'd say it's Without Me, honestly.
Okay.
Every Eminem album has its like signified banger, bro.
Yeah.
But this one it hit different for me. It's probably my second or third favorite Eminem song ever. But I think it ties into this album more specifically than the other two do.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Till I Collapse is a phenomenal song.
Yeah.
But dude, you got to think of it this way. I honestly don't think there's a hook in the Eminem show that I'm just like, ew, Eminem, what are you doing? And there's every other album, there's a hook where I'm just like, Eminem, why are you singing this?
Chuck, it sounds more like a knock on Eminem's other album.
Yeah. Your hooks suck, bro.
But dude, he's got a hook. Dude, he can actually have like decent hooks in the Eminem show.
Yeah.
Which takes his albums to a whole new level, because that was his biggest issue.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's just overall, man, it's got everything I was looking for. It's got the very, very well done production. It's got the nostalgia I was looking for. It's got the bangers. It's got the soul. It's got the emotion. It's just perfect, in my opinion.
Okay. Do either of you have any guesses as to what my number one is?
It's not
Rodeo.
Yeah, it's Rodeo. It's Rodeo.
It is Rodeo.
Rodeo is, in my opinion, the greatest album of all time, and I think Rodeo is I don't know. It's iconic. It's it was my introduction to it was my introduction to Travis. And I think I've probably listened to this album more than any other album I've ever listened to. You have so many tracks on here. Just the way the production is
Rodeo bumps.
Is like, it's something that I haven't really seen before in rap, or in a lot of genres. Just the way that Travis does it. I know there's a lot of knocks where it's like, oh, he's just auto-tune, or like, he has no range. But it's like, that's like the point of Travis in his tracks isn't to be like Whitney Houston with his voice. The point is to create such an ambient surrounding for when you're listening that like you just get lost in another world, which is something that Astroworld does incredibly well too.
I mean, you can knock him for talent, like for his singing voice if you want, but the truth is, if the song sounds good, does it really matter whether or not the guy who made it can sing?
It doesn't matter. And I think there's a lot of new rappers that are like biting the Rodeo style, just with the ambient production and with all that. And I think it's gonna go down as one of those like iconic all-time albums that changed the rap game. Kind of like Kamikaze.
Absolutely.
And I think that
100%. I 100% agree.
And I don't even know if I have to name tracks off of this, but like 3500,
90210,
Apple Pie, Impossible, Maria I'm Drunk is one of them like vibiest tracks, and Justin Bieber actually pulls through with an okay verse on this, which I was like, God bless.
I was surprised too, bro.
I think this is pretty much peak Travis. I could like add a couple songs from like Astroworld that I think would make it on my like greatest hits for Travis, but I think like 80% of the album would just be Rodeo, which speaks to the level of quality that goes throughout the whole album. It's
Absolutely
crazy for me. Yeah.
All right, Scotty, which Nas album?
Okay, so number one,
Which Nas album?
y'all probably know what it is.
Wait, let me.
I don't know any Nas albums, so like.
Is it Illmatic?
Illmatic, yeah. Okay. So obviously, it's pretty much universally regarded as the best hip hop album ever, and for me, it is honestly just like when Nas made it, he was 19 years old. like fresh off the streets. It's such a real album, and that's the thing that gets me every time. Is it just completely immerses you in his world, and there's no bullshit in it. It doesn't have like the bullshit that an adult has to deal with. He's a teenager, and he's fed up, and he's rapping about it. Like the songs are titled "Life's a Bitch," you know what I mean? And he's rapping "Life's a bitch, and then you die. That's why we get high." You know what I mean? It's just so fascinating, and honestly, it's pretty relatable for someone who's a teenager like myself to just listen to a guy who just completely surrounds you in his environment, where he's just angry and he can feel it. But even then, he remains hopeful on tracks like "One Love" and "Represent." And honestly, I think this has like the strongest end to the album of all time. I know the beginning's amazing, and a lot of people love "New York State of Mind," which is a phenomenal song. But for me, the last 4 tracks, "One Love," "One Time for Your Mind," "Represent," and "It Ain't Hard to Tell," are the best on the album. I love them. And just like from the moment that the title track, first track, the Genesis, like it starts off with like these gradually growing louder, like railroad tracks, like running, and it just like envelops you in his environment, and he doesn't start rapping out. You just hear him like with a conversation with his friend, and then it cuts straight into "New York State of Mind," the iconic song. And from that moment on, you're just kind of like captivated by his storytelling ability.
Yeah.
What's that, Petey?
Petey said "ooga booga."
Sorry, boys. My brother's playing Brawlhalla.
Yo. Okay. Yeah. Continue what you were gonna say about Illmatic. Or are you done?
Yep, that's it. All I got to say.
That's beautiful, Scotty.
Thank you, Chuck.
There's one thing I do want to say.
I shed a tear.
Fuck both of you guys for not putting an Eminem's album.
Chuck, I was really considering putting the Marshall Mathers LP on. That's my favorite Eminem album.
I was really considering, like, I was like borderline putting Revival in at 10, but I was just like, I was like, it needs a couple more. It needs like one good song for me to put it on.
Chuck, my top 4 are like set in stone, but like 6 through 10, there's like another 50 albums I can swap in there. You know what I mean? That are just phenomenal too. But well, maybe not 50, but you guys get the point.
But like enough, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, boys. Did we do
outro?
My bad, Chuck. I thought you were gonna get this.
Fine, dude. You know what? I'll do it. Like, subscribe, share, comment down below your top 10 favorites. Also, comment other top 10 ideas for us. Really open to suggestions. Comment any albums you want us to react to. Comment any discussions you want us to have.
Guys are insane. I have another thing to say to all our loyal viewers out there. Get ready, okay? Get your popcorn. Take a seat. Prepare yourselves. The arrival of Nicholas D. Ray is imminent. Okay? Watch our other channel, TheLastWord Sports.
I want to see if he knows.
Nick, he's coming. He's on his way. All right, and he's only here. He's not the biggest hip hop guy, so he's going to be talking about older albums, but that's totally cool.
I wonder if he knows the name of a single Queen album.
To be honest,
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, that's fair.
I think that was the name. Was that the name of an album?
No, it was Night at the Opera.
Yeah, Night at the Opera.
Dude, I don't know the names to the albums. I just know the songs.
It's okay.
Anyways, back to you, Chuck. Fucker from Channel 5 News.
Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been The Last Word.